You've probably seen these headlines about electricity prices coming down, and I think that we'll all agree that this is a good thing. But have you checked to see if you're on the cheapest tariff and paying as little as possible for your electricity? I'll be honest with you, I hadn't. And after researching this video, many of us are getting stroked. And in case you're not sure what that means, it's a technical term for us being overcharged by electricity companies. Today, by changing supplier, we've reduced our home electricity costs by over 25%, and that's going to save us well over £200 per year. So let me explain how you can check this for yourself and switch if you need to. In Northern Ireland, there are 5 main suppliers of household electricity. We've got PowerNI, SSE Electricity, Budget Energy, Electric Ireland and Click Energy. If you want electricity in your home, you need to sign up with one of these companies. There's no way around it. Now, many of us assume that we're getting a great rate, and I'll admit it's easy just to stick with the same company and moan about their rising prices.
Don't believe it!
I've had the same supplier for the last 13 years, and honestly, until the past 12 months, I've never given any thought to the rate that we were paying. Sure, all the prices seem to be going up, and this was true for everybody, but many tariffs didn't go up as fast, and others are coming down slower now as prices collectively fall. This week, I've seen plenty of press coverage about SSE Electricity reducing prices by 7%.
Did you touch the thermostat? Did you turn it up?
Now, SSE is my supplier, and like every household in NI, our prices have risen considerably through no fault of our own. Last year, we were protected from the worst of these rises by the £600 subsidy that every household received. But this year, there's absolutely no such support, and the full force of the increases are now being felt by all. On the face of it, SSE's 7% reduction is a great start, but they're a long way from being the most competitive electricity company in Northern Ireland. Yes, they're big, incredibly well known, and have a large market share. Much like myself, many people stick with their existing supplier because it's easier. But remember, SSE is a company that had made a record-breaking pre-tax profit of £2.18 billion last financial year. They're in the business of making money, and they make that money off you and me.
Well, why are you boring me? I'm right.
At this point, you all know the drill. Using less electricity is the key to bringing down your costs. But I understand there's only so far you can cut your usage. Alongside this, we need to ensure that we're paying the least for our utilities. And with all the noise in the press, a bombardment of marketing materials through our letterbox, and salespeople calling at our door, each of them telling us that they're the greatest.
I am the greatest!
How can we truthfully know who the cheapest electricity supplier is in Northern Ireland? Enter the Consumer Council. They provide free, independent support and advice for all consumers and businesses in Northern Ireland. Importantly for us, they compare all electricity tariffs in NI and update a central resource when the new price increases or decreases are announced. Class. The latest data was published yesterday and it's telling. On the screen now, I'm sharing the Consumer Council's electricity price comparison table. The 5 suppliers are shown, as are each of their tariffs, and I'm going to keep this brief. As of yesterday, Click Energy was the cheapest supplier in Northern Ireland and PowerNI came second. And the tariffs across all suppliers range from 26.982 pence per unit to 44.065 pence per kilowatt unit. I don't really know what that means, but I know it's more. And you and I could be paying anything between these two prices. I actually had no idea what our rate was, so I went over to SSE's online portal to look at my latest bill, and it turns out I'm on the SSE Smart Saver standard 6% rate. Again, don't really know what that is, but I do know that it's 37.94p per kilowatt unit. Until today, this meant absolutely nothing to me, but looking at the Consumer Council's table and comparing it with the other competitors here in Northern Ireland, we're on one of the highest rates around. Apathy is costing us all money.
Something is wrong here.
Again, checking over the invoices over the last 12 months, we've used 2,524 units, and I think we're on the lower end of the scale of what's actually used. So, put in the comments now what your annual usage is, so I have something to compare against. Since I'm planning to switch supplier, and I do expect our usage to be similar in the coming year, I decided to calculate who would be the cheapest supplier for our home. I do know that Click Energy and PowerNI have 2 of the lowest tariffs, so I'm going to base my calculations on the lowest rates that I can get with them. Let's start with doing nothing. Right, so if I stuck with SSE today, I could expect to have an annual bill of £957.60 next year. If I move to PowerNI, we'll drop that bill using exactly the same amount of electricity to £752.65. Now, that's over £200 saved for just switching energy supplier. And if I look at Click Energy, they price their electricity slightly differently. They charge a per unit rate for the electricity, but they also include a standing charge per day for the continuation of the service to your home. And if I use their cheapest rate available of 26.982 pence per unit, and I multiply that by the 2,500 odd units that I expect to use next year, that cost would be £681.02. And then if I add in that annual standing charge of 36 quid and 3 pence per year, the total bill for my electricity will come down to £717.05. That's a saving of £240 or just over 25% on my electricity prices. Why didn't I do this sooner? And if we had have used more electricity this year, our savings would have been greater. The chances are that if you are not with Click Energy, there are savings to be had. And if you are on a historic tariff like ourselves, then the difference can be staggering, especially if you use a lot of electricity. Some of you will use less electricity in your home than us, and you might be wondering when PowerNI might be the cheaper option. So I dug down a little deeper and I asked my good friend ChatGPT how to work this out. On the screen now, I'm showing you the calculation that ChatGPT gave me, but in short, PowerNI and Click Energy will match when the annual electricity usage is approximately 1282 kilowatts. If your annual usage is below this level, PowerNI will be more cost effective, and if it's above this level, Click Energy will currently be more cost effective. And I'm not gonna lie, today I went on a rampage. And when I saw these figures, it made me take action to switch suppliers. And I've probably put this off before because it seems like hassle. Well, it is hassle, and it's more hassle than doing nothing, but that does come at a cost. And 250 quid for a few minutes work was a pretty decent trade-off. And in reality, it was pretty easy to switch. And at this point, it's important to note that the supply of electricity will be unchanged to my house. There's absolutely no benefit for loyalty, and every electricity provider offers exactly the same product. I'm sure each of the electricity providers will say that their customer service is better than all the others. But as I haven't spoken to any provider over the last 13 years, I'll not mind a few minutes extra waiting on a call the next time I need to speak to someone. Same product, same service, very different prices. The only time I can see that it would be better for us to stick with SSE is if we had an electric vehicle and charged it at home overnight. Then the Economy 7 rate could be the best value tariff for us in that instance. But for us at this time, it's not me SSE, it's you. See ya! This does sound like an advert for Click Energy, and I promise it isn't. They are only the current cheapest supplier. But this can always change, and I'll be keeping an eye on the tariff this time next year when my own contract is up. Truthfully, if I was with PowerNI, I'd have a harder time changing and I'd probably stick with them. But then again, 40 quid is better in my pocket than somebody else's. Seeing that we're on a much higher rate elsewhere, it's definitely time for us to change. Let me know in the comments how much you're going to save for switching your energy provider, and if you do switch to Click Energy, I would politely ask you to put the following code in the referral box. It's RKO, not 0, RKOZ1V, and if you do that, I get £20 credit off my own electricity, and it costs you absolutely nothing. And if you don't do it, that's not a problem either. So the code is RKOZ1V. Thank you as always for watching. Please like this video, subscribe to my channel, and if you found this video useful, please do share it with someone else. Have a great day.